That's what we're gonna do. Okay, so what we have here is WhA Asian versus Exotic for the GosuLeague Division 2B, I want to say. WhA Asian are actually topping this division with 11 points, tied with, let's see, out of Tangos, I want to say. Exotic are, I want to say, 6th in this group with 4 points.
That is correct. Exotic, of course, hailing from Portugal. Used to be the old 404. Of course, they did change their name. Maybe they picked up a sponsor or something. Going to be playing with 2 stand-ins, whereas WhA is Asian with 1 stand-in. So 2-to-1 there in terms of the stand-in factor. We'll see if that changes anything in this game. Looks like a Darkseer's first ban.
Yeah, Darkseer's been one of those heroes where he's been first ban for a few patches now. Actually, he's just so versatile. It's tough to let him go if you don't have first pick.
Yep. We see really standard bans coming out. The only heroes that are really up are, of course, that Bounty Hunter, as I was about to mention, and the Templar Assassin being another really strong pick. At the same time, a lot of teams have been favoring picking up Luna really early in the picking stage, just because of her strength as a carry. She is what many like to say the strongest carry in this patch.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and I would also go as far to say, as with Templar Assassin, she's been kind of figured out. Many teams have learned how to handle her in that mid lane, and that's putting 2 mids against her. Usually a support and something with some type of fast damage dealing ability, just like a Gyrocopter with his Rocket Barrage, or a Venomancer with the Venomous Gale, just to take away those refraction charges. And when you place a Sentry Ward, Templar Assassin isn't actually that hard to kill.
At the same time, I wouldn't be too surprised if she was picked up early on by WhA Asian. There it is. The reason being the bans were very tailored towards heroes that do well in a 1v1 situation against TA. If you do locate 2 heroes in the mid lane to deal with TA, of course your other lanes are going to be a little bit weaker. Instead of having a tri-lane, you might have a dual lane, which means an aggressive tri-lane would be very good against that.
Yeah, it's mostly what we've seen lately, but usually when a team picks up Templar Assassin, they opt to ban out those aggressive style carries, such as Sven, such as Chaos Knight, just to try to get that aggressive tri-lane possibility out of the way. Because as you said, that actually wins the laning phase for the tri-laning team.
In terms of supports, WhA Asian opting to pick up to the Jakiro. Generally, you see either a Jakiro or a Rubik as your core 5. Interesting, though, that they do pick the Jakiro instead of the Rubik. I mean, both heroes very, very good at what they do. You have a lot of long-range initiation very early on with that Jakiro, as well as a spammable kind of stun/nuke in the Ice Path.
Yeah, and just that Ice Path, it just gives so much control in that lane, and that was the Venomancer and Rubik picked up from Exotic here. Kind of the 2 other good supports this patch, the 2 most popular ones.
Very interesting Venomancer pickup from Exotic, opting to use the Veno poison to really deal with that Templar Assassin.
Yeah.
And of course, we might end up seeing that dual lane that we were talking about earlier in the mid lane. Generally, Venomancer, if you do expect the aggressive tri-lane, having a Venomancer on that lane isn't the best option, because his damage really comes out of the DOT, of course, factor that is the Venomancer, rather than a heavier burst.
Yeah, while Venomous Gale is a very good level 1 spell, and it gives you a very strong level 1 versus level 1, which is at the very start of the game, he doesn't really have the range to harass people down. He doesn't really do that well. And he's also a very squishy support with no real escape. He's kind of slow. He's pretty easy to pick off, actually. So in tri-lane versus tri-lane, he's not the best support to have.
Not only that, but earlier levels of Venomous Gale, if of course he will be skilling that first, would be doesn't do the most damage, right? You kind of rely more on the right click and the slow presence that the Venomous Gale encompasses. So really, if you stick really close together in the 3 heroes, if it is a 3v3 lane, Venomous Gale shouldn't do too much. Just waiting on the 3rd pickup now for WhA Asian. They do still have a lot of options. While we do know that Templar Assassin will most likely go into that mid lane, everything else is very much in the dark for both teams, really. You could even see that Rubik going mid against the TA, which doesn't do that poorly.
No, Rubik actually does okay, especially when he gets towards those level 5, level 6 levels, where he can actually start harassing the Templar Assassin down. And we see WhA Asian pick up a Chaos Knight here. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier, about how if Exotic decide to dual lane here, then the Chaos Knight is a perfect carry pickup, Because aggressive
And
tri
Exotic,
lanes are so good against Exotic's type of lineup.
Exotic running that same mindset, up to ban that Keeper of the Light. Really a hero that would work very well with a Jakiro as well as a Chaos Knight in the aggressive tri lane. Um, I don't know if we're going to see a Wisp ban coming out of Exotic as well. Of course, we as Asian opting to ban out the carries for the time being. But a Wisp ban wouldn't be too bad. At the same time, I don't know if it's the defensive tri lane that they're worried about. They might just stick to banning aggressive tri lane heroes. And Wisp isn't a hero you see in an aggressive tri lane.
No, he doesn't really have that strong laning presence that we see other supports have. And there we go with the Lina ban, sorry. Lina is one of those aggressive tri-laners. She excels in those aggressive tri-lanes. She's kind of a Leshrac with a bit more burst damage.
I really like the fact that we as Asian are banning push-type carries. Venomancer as well as Juggernaut run very well together as well, in a dual lane mid even. So
yeah,
good job by them banning out the heroes that they really don't want to face right now. Luna, of course, being one of the stronger carries in the game. And then the Juggernaut ban as well. Sven's still in the pool, and it does decently against the Chaos Knight, but we'll see if either team wants to end up running it.
Yeah, I could definitely see we as Asian ban out a Sven here, or perhaps possibly ban out a Night Stalker. We've seen Night Stalker do really well against Templar Assassin when he has that Venomancer support. Something we see a lot of Chinese teams do, actually. Night Stalker does not get shut down. And he will impose, like, that first night, when that comes around, he will strike terror into your supports, and he will hunt them. We see Leshrac banned out here, and that's kind of more of that aggressive tri-lane mentality, I think.
Yep. I really like all three bans coming out of Exotic. They're really sticking to their game plan in the sense that they're most likely going to run those two dual lanes mid, based on these bans at least, because they do not want to face that aggressive tri-lane.
And we see Queen of Pain banned out from WhA Asian here. That's another hero that deals with Templar Assassin fairly well, just with that DOT damage from Shadow Strike. And it's so hard to lane against Venomancer and Templar Assassin. Sand King picked up.
That's an interesting pickup to me. I wonder how they're going to run it. They could run it mid. They could run it even as in part of the tri-lane. They could even just run that Venomancer solo mid up against a TA. Doesn't work too well in terms of... like a farmed Venomancer isn't going to do that much, but it can potentially shut down that TA in the mid lane in a 1v1 situation.
For sure. I think we're going to see Venomancer and Sand King go mid, actually. Sand King with that Sandstorm can take away refraction charges, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, but at the same time, you're going to be using your Venomancer to take away all those refraction charges. Yeah. If you go into Sandstorm, it's going to be 6 seconds pretty much for you to disable everything. Chen pickup, that kind of tells me that they want to run this defensively because they're going to have a jungle. They could run Chen in an aggressive jungle situation, which wouldn't actually be too bad because there's really no one to kind of put the pressure on an aggressive jungling Chen. But we'll see what they decide to do with that Chaos Knight Jakiro as well. They're just waiting on their long lane in this case, or even solo short lane coming out of WhA Asian.
And Chen also gives them that pushing possibility, right? Looking at the other three heroes for WhA Asian, we don't really have a pushing team. I mean, Jakiro Liquid Fireworks on towers does quite a bit of damage to them. Can't push towers fast, but Chen with those creeps just pushes towers so fast. And if they do that aggressive tri-lane, I think Exotic are going to have to respond to that because Bounty Hunter, if he's in that safe lane as a solo, he will not do anything to stop a push.
Bounty Hunter will most likely end up being in that long lane, though. I mean, based on the heroes that they have right now, I don't think they have any potential for an aggressive tri-lane. We'll see what Exotic decide to pick up right now. I wouldn't be surprised with a carry-type hero coming out right now. It could very well be the Sven.
Faceless Void.
They end up picking the Faceless Void, actually. That's very interesting to me.
And that is almost most definitely going to be in the safe lane. Very rarely do we see a Faceless Void get picked and not go in the safe lane. He just requires so much farm to actually be effective.
I feel like with that pick, one of two things can happen. They are either running that safe lane, as you said, in the defensive tri-lane, and then having a solo mid against a TA, or they're running Faceless Void in a dual mid situation because they know that they won't really expect a hero really going out of their way to help support the TA mid because of the Chen in the jungle.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see for this last pick for WhA Asian here. They're running out of bonus time, so we're going to see it very soon here. It's going to be an Invoker. That actually tells me aggressive tri-lane. We don't really see Invoker going to a long lane that often. In fact, he's almost always mid or as a safe lane solo. It's going to be interesting to see how Exotic respond to this, because they don't want their Faceless Void going into that safe lane. So it's probably going to be what you said, that Venomancer, Faceless Void, dual mid kind of thing to deal with Templar Assassin and get the Faceless Void some farm. And then most likely Bounty Hunter go up against that tri lane.
I'm really interested to see how Nino is going to be playing this Chen. We'll go over the names of heroes, everything. As soon as everyone picks their heroes, of course. Just waiting on the last one here from WhA Asian. But really, the movement of this Chen is going to be really important. Looks like we're in this game right now. I'll be going over Exotic. So over on Exotic's team here, we have Run Noobs Run playing the carry Faceless Void, Dark Ogre playing the Rubik, Artista playing the Venomancer, Follow Big Num on the Bounty Hunter, and then at the end, the stand-in Hasu playing the Sand King.
Alright, and on the Dire side, for WhA Asian, we have QOJQVA, Koikwa, perhaps? It's a stand-in. We have Cridacia playing that Templar Assassin. We have Nino Doda, just gonna call him Nino, playing that Shen. Pimpalicious playing that Chaos Knight. That's another stand-in, I think. I'm not quite sure. And then Atsi on that Jakiro.
Yep. Pretty interesting right off the bat item choices coming out from the Dire. Doesn't seem like the Radiant was able to get many of their items in time, but the Dire have. Looks like most likely what's going to be an earn pickup from the Chaos Knight. He actually has a lot of strength and a lot of health right now, sitting at 71 damage and 663 health at level 1 so far based on his item choices. That's going to be a pretty big factor. It'll be hard to engage on him.
Yeah, and that kind of tells me he wants to get an earn. An earn is something we see from aggressive tri-lanes, and we see Jakiro heading down there already. I just really think it's going to be an aggressive tri-lane from WhA Asian. But I have been wrong before. Likely.
I don't see any other way for them to run the Invoker or the TA.
No.
It'd be kind of cool to run the TA as a safe lane solo instead, if they do end up expecting a mid to deal with the Templar Assassin and then having the Invoker run in the mid lane. That'd be a really interesting change of lanes there if WhA Asian decide to do that.
We see Templar Assassin pick up a lot of regen here actually, and that usually means she's expecting a lot of harassment, and that might be just a sign that she's going mid to go up against this Venomancer, most likely the Faceless Void. Could still be a solo mid Venomancer. We expect the Venomancer to be against the Templar Assassin though in some way.
Mm-hmm. Looks like the game is underway, which is good. And everyone's running... Oh, look at that.
Oh, the Templar Assassin is actually heading top.
Yeah. That's a really good call from them.
Yeah.
They know for a fact that Bounty Hunter is going to be in that lane. And look at her build actually starting out with 9 tangos right now. This is going to be really important. She's definitely going to have the sustain advantage, I could call it, over the Bounty Hunter, as well as when she starts getting enough levels of refraction, it's going to be really hard for the Bounty Hunter to do anything to her. Not really able to use the Janata to its full effect in that sense. At the same time, though, she might run into some mana issues relatively early on, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see her still go for that bottle pickup.
And right now we actually see Sand King go into this mid lane with Venomancer. I mean, this could just be temporary. I can't imagine they want to leave their Faceless Void up against the tri-lane. That's not optimal for them. I think they want to rotate the Sand King and this Faceless Void as soon as possible towards this mid lane.
Yep. Especially when they realize that it's the Invoker that's going to be in this mid lane.
Yeah.
As soon as they see that, I wouldn't be too surprised to see even a switch with the top lane, in the sense that one of them, maybe the Veno, goes top.
Yeah.
And then the Bounty Hunter goes in the mid lane. There should be a lot of rotation coming out of the Radiant this early on, though.
Yes.
That's for sure.
We'll have to wait and see. Jakiro actually picks up an Invis Room here, and usually that means they want to open up on someone. Now, they don't really have anyone on bottom to open up on. Killing that Faceless Void can be very hard because he does have a time walk, allowing him to get out of trouble, so to speak.
Excellent movement, though, from the Jakiro. As soon as he picked up Invis, he moved as if he was going to go right towards the river into the lane, but instead he doubles back as soon as the Invis rune basically started going into effect, and now he might even be able to catch this. Do they see him?
Oh, Jakiro's doing this tricky pull here, and Jakiro screws it up for him. How this works is that Jakiro, or Rubik, sorry, pulls this creep up on this hill, and normally it walks down here and takes a bunch of tower hits and pulls the lane, all of these creeps, into this camp. Fujikiro to kill. Or
Oh.
to kill, sorry.
Looks like we're gonna get a Venomous Gale over on this